Good evening. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Columbia Heights Public Schools Independent School District 13, Columbia Heights, Minnesota, special call meeting on Tuesday, January 5th, 2016. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome again, everybody. Welcome back. Tonight is a special call meeting, and we'll start with the approval of the agenda. If I could get a motion in a second, then we could discuss that.
So,
Ted?
Second.
Molly? Any discussion?
just a question for clarification. Since we don't have a full board, I think it's important to clarify that are these issues we must decide tonight? Is anybody can address that? Or can we wait till we have a full board?
I can address that. We've checked both with MSBA and with legal counsel, and we need to be as close to the first Monday after the first Tuesday as possible. Our full board would probably not even be close, because that would be February if the person would take the seat, and if the person does not take the seat because they're running in the other election, we may not have a full board until after that. So we need to have it as close to the 1st of January as possible, within an appropriate window.
And that's under state law?
That's the law. I sent the law out in the update.
Okay, I just want for the public, I want the public to know that the reason we're doing this now is we have to.
Yeah, and as are all the other boards in the state of Minnesota.
Okay. A follow-up to that, do we have to address all the issues in terms of salaries, legal, newspaper, all those other issues other than the election issues?
I would say that's an interesting question. I have to say that we always have, because we have to run the organization of the district,
Okay.
beginning with payrolls and things like that starting in January. So generally, this is our approved agenda, and it's generally how we do it. We have for years. So I don't have legal counsel on that for you tonight, though. But
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that if it's necessary for the effective operation of the district. Could we revisit these later if there was a concern when we have a fuller board?
Anything in particular, or?
No, I'm just saying the non-election officer positions. My understanding, we probably could, not that I anticipate there would be a concern, but so I want to make sure that we're not operating, on important issues without considering that we have just 4 board members and not the full 6 members that we usually have.
If I could comment on that, I think, in my opinion, we need to continue running the district and the board as it is, rather than putting anything off. I think if you were to get into, potential of setting something off, then we run that risk for the next 3-4 months. And that, in my opinion, would be setting things up to not be smooth.
Okay.
I would prefer that we take care of the agenda as it is tonight.
And just in looking at the information we got from the MSBA, the first Monday in January, all of the items that are on our agenda are what's, they're suggesting and I'm assuming they're following, as closely as possible the statute, if that's the recommendation that they're making. And all of the items that are on our agenda are in their packet, the organizational meeting.
this is a pretty standard agenda for the organizational meeting.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, find my notes again. Shifted around here. All right, I'm not finding it. There they are. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Organization of the board. The school board chair will open the nominations for board offices. Any board member may be nominated for any office. A nomination does not require a second, and each office is voted on separately. And if you remember last year, as I went through this, I asked for nominations 3 times, so I'll be following that same format again. So with that said, nominations are now in order for office of the chair.
I would like to place my name for nomination.
I'd like to nominate Member Larkin for chair.
Are there any further nominations for the chair? Are there any further nominations for the chair? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of the chair are closed. Any discussion?
I do, sure. The reason that place my name in nomination is, actually there's 3 reasons. And these reasons I've mentioned several times. This, I believe, is the 7th time that I've been placed in a nomination for chair to serve the district. The first reason is that there has been numerous community members who have asked me to place my name in nomination, and we are here to represent the community. And the reason that they've done so is that they realize that it's important to have experience, it's important to have training, a trained leader, and it's important to have seniority as the chair of our school board. In order to lead a highly effective school board, we need a highly effective chair, and we need the person that has the most skills and ability to do that. And I believe that I have those skills. I've been serving on the school board this is my 12th year, which is almost double the amount of time, over double the amount of time that the next senior person has served on the school board. And I think this is really important. I've been through many school board meetings and have learned a ton, lots from those meetings, lots of different scenarios where leadership has been needed, and have learned how to, the ins and outs of what is made for an effective school board and what hasn't. We've had some significant challenges in our district over that period of time, and I've been watching and I've been learning, and I think that's critical because I know we're going to have continued challenges in this next year. We always do. The Lighthouse study that we've studied and National School Board Association studies show that an effective school board does enhance student achievement, and also the opposite is true. A not effective school board does not hurts student achievement. And so that's why we need a chair that can lead a highly effective school board. I've spent over 342 served over 342 meetings, not including serving on the West Metro Education District Board, extra board retreats, conferences, and strategy sessions. That's over 1,000 hours. And, you know, I'm thankful for the opportunity to do that, but I also realize that brings a responsibility to use that knowledge to benefit the district. And I believe I can do so as most effectively as chair. I have served over 4 times the number of board meetings that the current chair has served in, and so in terms of experience, it's not even, you know, there's I have far more experience. In my experience, the board and district has always looked at its most veteran senior members for its leadership. When you look at past chairs, it's always been the most senior, or not always, but most often senior veteran leader that's served as chair. I've served in, I have the training as well. I've attended 3 Minnesota School Board Association officer training classes over the years on chair responsibilities and parliamentary procedure in order to help run a fair and effective school board meeting. I've consistently been appointed as the parliamentarian, so even this board and other boards have realized that I do have the knowledge to run an effective meeting according to parliamentary procedure. And I think that's really important, and I'm happy to serve in that regard. I have attended 5 National School Board conferences and have brought back valuable information. So as the leader, my credentials are very strong, and I think I've shown that over the years. I've served in every officer position, including vice chair twice over the 11 years, except for chair. And to be honest, a lot of people have shook their heads, why in the world haven't I been elected as chair over 11 years? And I'm familiar with the duties of each position. And as vice chair, I've run meetings, school board meetings effectively, so I'm well familiar with the procedure for running a school board meeting and can do that well. I worked with Superintendent Kelly as the vice chair this year and Chair Larkin, and attended several vice chair meetings. And I've effectively chaired many other nonprofit boards and commissions in our community, even large conventions. So I have lots of experience running meetings and serving as chair. I've also been highly ethical in accordance with our school board code of ethics, our school board values that we reference every school board meeting. I've attended almost every single school board meeting over that period of time, which is part of our code of ethics. And I'm committed to ethical leadership and fairly enforcing all school board policies, which is critical for a chair position chair to do. You can count on me to be here and on time to chair this board. And I have also served as mentor for new board members over the past 6 years, which is also a key role for a school board chair, to help new board members get up to speed and be effective to serve the community in their new role as a school board member. And the second reason is as we've talked about before, this position has been politicized, unfortunately, over the years. And we've had a practice now of allowing electing vice chairs to move into the chair position to help sort of get rid of that politicization. We've had Chair Scott Bardell, or Chair Missy Lee, after she served, Scott Bardell, which was her vice chair, served as school board chair. And then now Chair Larkins was vice chair to Scott Bardell. He served as chair. And now I've served as vice chair. And we should continue that precedent and keep and taking out the politicization and making it a process that is something that is not based on position or affiliation. We've had votes that unfortunately have dragged out over the years, throughout the year, because we have not followed this, which this procedure, which Fridley School Board does, and I'm sure other boards as well. I can forget exactly who. But it prevents having a long drawn-out election process, which, as we all know, only hurts the district over time. And so we should continue that precedent. That really helps the district. It also brings in fresh new board leadership, which is important for our district. It's important to move it forward, so we don't have the same leader year after year after year. And it shows that we are open to new ideas, and we're not set in our ways as a school board. And I've had, also takes the partisanship out of the chair position when we follow this policy or this precedent. I've had people of all parties talk to me and ask me to run for chair. Democrats, Republicans, Independents have all come to the conclusion that after 11 years of board service, it's time to elect me as chair and to take advantage of the skills that I can bring to this position. And finally, the third reason is that even after all these positions, all these skills and abilities, why haven't I been elected as chair? And I think the reason is that the real reason is not because of lack of experience, training, or passion, many in the community know that the real reason has been because of what's encapsulated in this Facebook post that's appeared on a community forum page. And I just want to bring this up not for the sole reason of showing that this kind of electing me chair tonight would stop this kind of thinking, and this kind of harmful thinking, and this kind of harmful prejudice and mean-spiritedness, to be honest. The post says this was during the September 15th meeting, and it's posted by a former school board chair. And that meeting was highly contentious, as we know, is in the middle of the controversy with Member Nichols. And it says, block Ted Landwehr from any leadership position due to his lack of respect for the community and the students that came forward. Be aware of a nodding head and the blank look that he does not care about the good of this community. His vote did speak, but only to show that all that he is not is to be trusted with the education of our students. And sadly, this came from a former school board chair. And I really believe that this has been the heart of the reason why the very best skills that I can bring to this community have not been realized as school board chair. It's why there's been a glass wall between this chair and that chair. And we can end that tonight, and we should end that tonight. It's time to take down that glass wall. You know, the definition of bigotry, you know, that word was brought up a lot in a few meetings ago. A bigot is someone who is intolerant, according to the dictionary, intolerant to those who hold different opinions. And that is what's been experienced. That's what's in this comment. And it's what moves people to block others from, like it says in our mission, we should unleash the talents of everyone to their full potential. And that's what I'm asking for tonight, to have my talents unleashed for the benefit of our community and our students after 11 years. So you have the power to do that tonight. It's time to do that, to stop the attitude of blocking and obstruction that's been on the board for way too long, and stand for the best interests and desires of our community, to continue a policy of moving the vice chair into the chair position as we have started for many years, and to show that that this is how our districts run, not based on the attitude that's encapsulated in this post. It's up to you to do that tonight. I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Anything else?
No. Thanks for your time.
I too am interested in the chair position. I recognize the responsibilities of the chair and the need for being balanced with the understanding the board has to function as a whole. I was vice chair for 2 years. This balance of this last year, I was the chair. I've learned a lot in the 3 years that I've been on the board. I've worked extremely hard to become familiar with the responsibilities of a board member. Hundreds of hours of training, meetings, playing as a liaison, the different events that I've attended. I believe I've taken the initiative to learn about my leadership roles and responsibilities as the chair. I also believe that leadership is transferable. And I have, if we're going to talk about experience, I have 35 years in supervisory leadership positions, and I believe that I have shown, and I'll be able to continue to show, that I can transfer those leadership skills to the board and do it consistently. I'm comfortable with where I'm at as the chair. I would love the opportunity to continue in that position, and I welcome that opportunity.
I just want to make a few comments. One thing that was brought up previously when you mentioned Member Landwehr, a policy of the vice chair into the chair position. I just want to be clear for the public that we don't actually have a policy of that, that is not something we've decided as a full board. And we did have that conversation when we did have 6 members here. That was a conversation that we had in a work session where we talked about leadership, and in my opinion, knowledge and experience can be valuable, but it doesn't mean everything in terms of a leadership position. I think that trust and having faith in somebody to do the right thing can be outmeasured, or can outweigh, knowledge and experience. Again, going back to some conversations I've had with community members, is that their hope is that with everything that we've been through this last year and moving forward with 2 seats that are to be determined, some consistency would be beneficial to this district. And so I would support, again, Chair Larkin being chair for next year, as well, for this coming year as well. When you've brought up things that have happened in the past, I just want to be very clear that any vote that I were to make tonight would be based on what's going to be best for this district right now. I'm not looking at what's happened in the past. I'm looking at the 4 people sitting here at the table and moving this district forward.
Any other discussion?
I would just say nobody's ever questioned my trustworthiness, so if that helps you.
Comments or discussion? Nominations on the table for the chair are Ted Landwehr and John Larkin. Roll call vote and just say the name of who you're voting for, correct? Right, and then just who you're voting for. Okay.
The acting clerk?
No, you're still the clerk until that position's been
Okay.
filled, so you do the roll call, please.
Lewis,
Larkin.
Landwehr,
Landwehr.
Larkin,
Larkin?
Palmer, Larkin.
John Larkin is the chair for 2016. Moving on to the election of the vice chair. Nominations in order for the office of vice chair.
I'd nominate Member Palmer.
Laura Palmer is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair?
I'll place my name in nomination.
Are there any further nominations for the vice chair? Are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair? Discussion.
I guess I would say for the very same reasons. I have experience as vice chair. I've served twice as vice chair as a school board member, so I think I would do a good job.
Any other conversation or discussion?
Well, I guess I kind of like to put forward what I believe the position of the vice chair actually entails. And I do believe it has a lot to do with support of the chair, support of the district, and being acquainted with the policies, procedures, and being a support mechanism for the rest of the board. So that's kind of the way that I look at it, is in more of a support position. And that's the way I'd like to serve.
Any other conversation, discussion? Hearing none. Laura, please call the roll.
Lewis,
Palmer.
Landwehr,
Landwehr.
Larkin,
Palmer.
Palmer.
Or is the vice chair. Moving on to election of the clerk. Nominations are now in order for the office of the clerk.
I'll place my name in the nomination.
I'm sorry,
I'll place my name.
Ted? I'm going to nominate Molly. Are there any further nominations for the office of the clerk? Are there any further nominations in the office of the clerk? Nominations are for Ted, And for Molly? Discussion.
Well, again, I've served as clerk before, so I have experience as clerk. I think I've done a great job as that. Nobody has said anything to the other contrary. I have plenty of experience knowing what clerk does. Over 11 years.
Okay. Laura, call the roll, please.
Lewis,
Landwehr.
Landwehr,
Landwehr.
Larkin,
Lewis.
Palmer, Landwehr.
The clerk. I think you're stuck. Treasurer can have someone holding more than one position, correct?
Oh, we should still nominate.
We will, yeah.
Yeah.
but it's giving her a heads
Would
up.
you like to be treasurer again?
Nominations are now in order for the office of treasurer.
Should I just nominate myself?
I'll nominate. Do you want to nominate?
Always nominated. Molly Lewis is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of the treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of the treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of the treasurer?
I move we vote by acclamation.
Do I second that? Mhm.
In favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Molly's treasurer. Okay. Appointment of the parliamentarian and the adoption of the Robert's Rules of Order. The position of parliamentarian is appointed by the chair. Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, except where modified by school board policy, are recommended as the board's official rules. I guess I'll ask if anyone has an interest in being a parliamentarian. I know Ted has been for the last couple of years.
Continue. I'm happy to do so.
Does he have an interest in being the parliamentarian?
That's a great job.
I think we have to do anything special for that, do we, Josh? We don't have to do anything special for that then, do we? I mean, do we need to?
Appointment by the chair, so
Okay.
just appointed.
Appointed as the parliamentarian. Minutes,
Do we-
go ahead, sorry.
Point of order, do we still have to adopt the suggested motion, though, to adopt Robert's Rules of Order?
Ooh, I think we do.
It's in our board packet.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, there is a motion.
I would make that motion.
For the Robert's rules. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of what? Did you say?
It's on-
It's part of that motion? Okay, so, the motion by Ted, second was by Laura, correct? Motion by Ted, second by Laura to adopt Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised as the Rules of Order for the School Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools, Independent School District 13, except where modified by appointment and policy. Ted Landwehr as parliamentarian for 2016. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next is the meeting dates and times. If I get a motion in a second, then we can discuss this one.
So moved.
Second.
Molly? This is the regular meetings of the Board of Education have been held on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. It is recommended that the board set a meeting day and time that is convenient for members of the chair. And in the background, we've got the regular meetings of the school board on the second, fourth Tuesday, 7 p.m., with the exception of December and March, in which meetings would be on the second Tuesday, and July, where there would be no meetings. It is recommended that the board set a meeting date and time that is convenient for the members of the board. It's also recommended that no new business shall be taken up by the school board after 10:45 p.m., except by unanimous consent of board members. There will be the option of adding a work session. Work sessions have been scheduled the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. The school board meetings will be held in the district community room. Discussion about the meetings?
I assume these meetings have already been put on the calendar as in the past years. Is that correct?
We have some modifications because of our special elections this year.
Okay,
Some you voted on, and then a few you have not, because they're modifications for our second election. But they would be put on the calendar.
those would appear on the website calendar? Okay,
Because we actually cannot meet on some of the dates that we had approved.
okay. But generally, it would make sense to me then to stay with this schedule since it's already on the printed calendar, with just those two exceptions, or those few exceptions.
Else? There's a motion by Ted, second by Laura, to declare that the meeting day and time for the regular school board meeting shall be the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, with the exception of December, in which the meeting would be on December 13th, and March, in which the regular school board meeting will be on March 8th. No meeting on March 22nd due to spring break. There will be no meetings in July. There will be an option of adding a work session the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 PM, and that no new business shall be taken up by the school board after 10:45 except by unanimous consent of board members. Board meetings will be held in the district community room for 2016. Because some of the regular meeting dates fall on election days, the January 26th regular school board meeting will be on January 19th. The February 9th regular school board meeting will be held on February 16th. The August 9th regular school board meeting will be on August 16th, and the November 8th regular school board meeting will be on November 15th. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Appointment of board representatives. Currently, so we've got the MSBA legislative liaison. I believe that's correct. Is that you, Ted?
Right.
Second page has the correct.
And the next one? Oop, there
Here it is.
Okay, yep. Okay, so currently it's Ted. Last year, if I remember correctly, we just kind of had conversations, we went down and talked about people that were interested in the different liaison positions, and then we came to an agreement, then we actually made a motion and approved the appointments at that point. So, interest level in the MSBA legislative liaison. I know Ted was last year. Does anyone else have an interest in that?
I have an interest, but not the time.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question. Anybody have interest and the time to?
Yeah, the meeting stuff for that is just, it's not workable on my schedule, which is why I've never done it.
I'm still interested and
What's that?
I'm still interested and happy to do it.
Am I not seeing what the scheduled meetings are?
I think it's more of a contact for legislative issues. And then also I've served as the delegate for MSBA, Delegate Assembly.
Comfortable with that, Ted? We'll leave you in that position.
Okay.
Sue?
If I may, this is one meeting a year. It's at their annual meeting, and attendance is preferred, but not necessary, but they do prefer if we show up once a year for this one.
I can do that if there's no interest from anyone else.
I think I'm on that for 9/16. At least I was last year. I think I did XU last year with 9/16.
I would do it, but WEMAP takes up a lot of time. But I'd like to continue with that,
Imagine.
so.
No, we'll get to that one when we come down to that one. The Sue, for Molly, you're interested. Are you saying that you're interested in the?
No, I think I've done it before. It's great to circulate.
Okay. You're comfortable with that, Molly?
No.
Okay. We got the Minnesota State High School League. I think there's a spring meeting, and is there something in the fall, or is it just a spring meeting? I think it's
I think it's one meeting a year, isn't it? Or is it two? Fall and spring. And you get a journal every month, the high school journal.
Which I thoroughly enjoy receiving and do enjoy reading.
Very good.
I wouldn't mind continuing that, but if we want to spread it around, it's fine. Whichever way. Okay.
Ted, you okay with that?
Yeah, I've served in Zed already, so it's good to circulate it.
And ties, that was me last year.
I would love to do ties again this year.
Great.
Technology is so important, and I have a real passion for that, and it's great to be able to bring that information back. They have a conference every year, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, I was there this year.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It was, yeah,
Yeah,
it's borderline
really good.
overwhelming. It was
Uh-huh.
really,
Yeah, that's
really
the way I
impressive. It was
felt.
impressive. So, okay, Molly or anybody else, or, I don't, makes no difference to me. Ted? Okay. We met.
Can you remind me again when those meetings are?
We met.
I'm sorry.
We met, well, it's moving around because we're reorganizing. It's been the second Wednesday,
Is it consistently on Wednesdays?
It has been.
yes.
Okay.
This is it's an older one, but scheduled 6:30, second Wednesday of the month. That's what it
Yeah.
has been consistent.
I would be happy to serve as WEMUP still because they do want consistency in board members, unless someone has a real burning passion. But I do think it's valuable to our district to have the same representative that knows the issues. And I'm also on the executive committee for WEMUP too, so I believe that would continue.
Well, you asked about the dates. Did you have an interest in that?
And it's one Wednesday a month. I did have a little bit of interest just to see more information, just for myself too, to kind of see moving forward and make, looking at that, especially with all the changes that are going on. But the meetings are, what time do you,
It says 6:30.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it said, that's what
Yeah.
it says here.
Yes, I would be, but I'm okay with not to.
Clarification, didn't we just vote to withdraw from WEMUP?
We'll be a part of it through the end of June, through the end of the school year.
Right, so
yeah.
we're looking at like a relatively
6 months.
short-term
Right.
appointment for another couple of months.
I'd be interested in it as well. It's something that I've kind of watched, from when Missy was on it and then Ted, and I understand consistency, but at the same time, I hear you saying it's good to mix things up and move things around, and that just in watching what has transpired, I would have a significant interest in being a part of WEMUP, even if it is a short appointment.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to be selfish or anything like that, but, I've been involved in it and gotten pretty deep into it. And I think that for the health of WEMAP and also the health of our separation from WEMAP, I think I have a unique perspective in that regard and would benefit both organizations.
Which is somewhat ironic, based on, you've been on, what, 2 years?
Has
Is
it
that
been
correct?
2 years? I don't think it's been 2
No, it
years.
hasn't been 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I'm
It
pretty
really
sure it
was?
has.
It was before I got on here.
Yeah, you were on it the year before she came in, and last year.
For the same reasons you're making tonight.
And I guess the irony that I find, yeah, it is, because I actually said, because of the things that they were going through with some of the stuff, I actually suggested that you remain there, but I find it somewhat ironic that that same argument was disputed by you when a former board member was saying that there were things and that the consistency and that they were asking for and things like that, to the point of where we mistakenly appointed you as an alternate, and then there was some confusion and actually quite a bit of, I guess I don't know what the word is, but as we came in through the year. So it's to me, it's interesting to me that you're using consistency and the experience that you have there to keep you there when those were things that you disputed the opposite importance of that prior to you getting on it. I find that somewhat ironic, I guess.
Well, in that case, I mean, you've heard it from former board member Lee that consistency is important, and if you were to ask the current chair of WEMAP, Mike Volna, you'll get the same answer. The former chair, Helen Bassett, says the same thing. We've had WEMAP will have 5 new board members starting in January here because of board members that have chosen not to run in other districts. So it is very important to have, at least some same board members on the WEMAP board.
And I'm just going to say that I feel like with as much as gone on over the last year, I feel like having someone there and having a different perspective coming in could be healthy. So not to, say anyone's better, less than, or anything, but just we all hear things differently, and maybe just getting a little different perspective would be good for our board. And I think WEMAP will adjust. They have to adjust to new elections. It's, our responsibility. I think that we would be served better in Columbia Heights having a different representative go to that board with the perspective.
Has there been a problem with my perspective? I'm just curious. I want to serve the
Yeah.
district.
No, I think that I don't know that I was getting as much of the information as we could have gotten leading up to what has gone on over the last 4 or 5 months. And I'm not sure. I don't know. But I think that having a new person going, whether that was myself or member like anyone, I'm not trying to get into a power struggle necessarily, but I think that a good new perspective would be good for our district moving forward.
Well, again, I'm happy to share whatever information and answer any questions that anybody has. I do that regularly when I give my board reports. So I'm happy to, I would certainly continue that for the next 6 months. If we do, at the end of June, at the end of our term.
Well, I guess I hadn't even thought about it the way that Molly presented it, but in retrospect, there were times where it seems like there was more information that was coming from the superintendent than from you, and I don't know if she was privy to different meetings, different information, but it seemed like, and again, I know for sure one piece of it is as far as the adjustments that, they weren't willing to make. I know that you said that you weren't aware of that, and that wasn't the intention of where the board was headed, but other places along the way, the disbursements of funds and things like that, I felt like I got clear information, more detailed information from the superintendent. And again, I don't know if that was a result of different sources or what it was, but so not to say that you weren't given the full information that you had, but
Yeah, I
that's,
shared everything that I had, so with the board, and would continue to do that. Because I do want you all to be involved. I mean, it's our board that's serving, or it's on the Joint Powers Board too. It's representative. That's how it's supposed to work. And so it's critical that you all stay informed to the best of, my ability to keep you informed. And now with Superintendent Kelly serving as the superintendent liaison, you will have 2 sources of information, and maybe that will make things better for you, to help you be more informed. I would assume it would be. And she does get different information than I do through the superintendent meetings.
well, this is going to certainly be an interesting time frame here as we move forward in these next 6 months with WEMAP. And I know that when we had the conversation about and passing the resolution to, send them a letter about our withdrawing, we talked about, if for some reason that there was a change or they were, all of a sudden, they were more receptive, that we could certainly have conversations. And I guess this is going to be a critical time. And I guess I would concede the position to you, Ted, knowing that, there's any and all information that's available, that we're up to speed on what's going on as we close, if we in fact follow through and close the door on that.
Oh,
So,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
So I guess it would be unless you have a burning desire to, okay. All right. Laura, you okay with that?
Yeah.
That'll stay the representative with WEMEP. Next is 916. Laura is currently there. I will make I guess, I don't know if someone else is interested, I'm certainly more than willing to listen, but
I think Laura does a great job.
I do too. Currently 916 is going to be sending her to the national conference as a member of 916. So I don't know if that creates an awkward situation making a change. Certainly doesn't mean that we can't, but just something to keep in mind.
I think Laura does a great job, and you have the time commitment for them, so, and especially with the National School Board.
916 is so incredibly fascinating. And there's so many things that you learn there that are used under, that they're working under fairly, difficult and innovative things are happening there. To be able to share that with the board and the district, I really enjoy that responsibility. I mean, I really do enjoy it. I don't know if you can tell.
I'm going to take that as a yes, that
Yeah,
you're interested in that
I
position.
love 916.
Okay. Unless
Yeah.
anyone else is opposed to that, I support
Shame there's
that
only
as
one
well.
meeting a month. So,
Liaison to the City of Columbia Heights. Anybody have an interest in that?
it's Monday night.
Understanding, and I guess maybe let's take a second and talk about I'll share with what I believe the responsibility is of a liaison to a city representative is to let them know who you are, that you're the liaison, and that if there's school things that would impact the city, even publicly, I mean, I don't want to lessen the position, but it's not a position, in my opinion, where the expectations are there at every council meeting every Monday night and reporting back on everything that the city council has talked about. I think if you're there, you have a conversation, and it's something that it's school-related. I'll give you an example, and I was not the liaison for the city of Columbia Heights, but I was up there as in my full-time job for other reasons, and the mayor made a comment, our liaison was not there that night, but the mayor made a comment, hey, make sure you go back and tell the district this or whatever. Those are the kinds of things that I think that the role of any liaisons is letting them know we're there, and if they have questions or something, we can be that connection to get to whoever it is that they need to get to. So with that said, I will say that I wouldn't be comfortable being the liaison for the City of Columbia Heights. So, I mean, any of the other ones I certainly would be willing to talk about, but, so.
Yeah, that's traditionally what it's been over the years. I think you're exactly right. We've never had a moment-by-moment report of city
No,
council meetings, so.
Nor have they had ours, so.
Exactly.
And nor do I think they want ours, so. Molly, you were there last year. You want to stay with that, or actually you were just towards we kind of filled you in at the end, didn't we?
I'm fine with whatever, it's fine.
Somebody else have a
Yeah, I
desire
was
to
gonna
be?
say, if anyone else wants it, that's fine, I can stay.
Okay. So Molly for the City of Columbia Heights. I would be interested in the City of Fridley again. I would like to be able to continue to build that relationship with them unless somebody else wants the City of Fridley. Okay. City of Hilltop. Go ahead.
Point of order,
Yeah.
are we going to leave any of these open for the new board members, or?
That's a good. I think the schools,
We will on the schools.
we have to on the schools.
Okay.
For sure, because there's 6. I mean, we don't have to, but that would be a natural spot for that.
If I might suggest, you might want to leave one open on the subcommittee on school board policy.
Right.
But we will have to start meeting with that, and not in January, because MSBA isn't ready yet, but by February, so if we had one spot, we might have a member that might be able to sit on that by then.
And I think that makes sense, as the new board members get up to speed, at least we'll have these, we know as veteran members what to do. So that makes complete sense.
So the liaison to the city of Hilltop.
Anybody know when their meetings are?
Meetings on Hilltop, Dawn, do you happen to know? She'll look it up for us.
Is that thing from last year, Jen?
No.
I'm looking for it.
Oh, hang on, this one here says, city council meets first and third Mondays of the month at 7 PM. So it would be a Monday here and there along the way.
Probably do that.
Laura?
Shouldn't be too hard to find.
Again, I really don't believe there's an expectation that you're there at every
Oh,
meeting. so.
it would be, that's actually kind of interesting. I know a few people over that way. It'd be kind of fun to see how involved they are in their little community, so.
And then on the school board policy subcommittee, we've kind of, in the past, I know that we've had to try, yeah, I know. Tried to have a couple new people so that they learn the policy. And the suggestion to keep at least one of those open for that, I think, is a good idea. Laura is interested in one of the spots. Okay. Molly, are you interested in another year of that?
Yeah, I'm still new.
I don't think it would be a horrible idea, but I guess I don't want to, would you be comfortable with that, Ted, with them doing that?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that.
So we would change it to Laura and Molly and then leave?
We kick up the pace a little bit. I'm kind of,
You have to start chewing on MSBA to get us our stuff.
yes, yes.
Okay, so that
No.
would, go ahead.
Excuse me, my only concern is that we just keep be informed of changes and the reason behind those changes, because that's critical for the full board to consider. So if that's okay, that's something that you are passionate about.
Might not be a bad idea to, if we do have to make substantial changes, to make sure that it ends up in our packet. I mean, there's most of the time it's adding references.
Well, everything comes back for,
First reading and
for
second.
first and second reading,
Right.
so we have
Discussion
the
at that time.
discussion
We've had
on it. So they're being,
over the last
it's
year.
being
Okay.
reported out on, at least
Yeah.
that's what
Oh, yeah.
we've done.
Yeah, I just want to
previously.
highlight how important that is for the whole board to know the reasoning.
Okay, so Laura, Molly, and then we'll leave one position open for a new appointee. And then the Association of Metropolitan School Districts. I would absolutely be interested in that unless somebody else has probably burning desire for that.
7 a.m. on a Friday morning.
I've been doing it, but I'm happy to turn it over.
It's
I
really
can't do it.
interesting. 7 a.m. doesn't work.
It is interesting.
Me?
You get the kids to the school time.
And then we've got the Columbia Business Council.
Can someone remind me what the commitment is for that?
Friday.
It's every quarter, no.
Is that the first Friday?
It's the first Friday, but they got to change it to quarterly.
To quarterly, so it's 4 meetings.
Not monthly.
Is it morning too? If I
Yeah.
remember this?
Right.
Yeah. I'm not available for that.
I was able to get my kids off to school and then run over there.
Fridays are tricky with me for work.
I'm there anyway, because I go
Yeah,
as a
it was-
business
That's already
owner.
there. Usually goes there.
Laura, were you expressing an interest, or are you just commenting
No,
on the easel?
I'm hoping that maybe I can do some volunteering over at the school again like I did. But they haven't asked me, so maybe they'll ask me. That would be great. I enjoyed that last year.
Comfortable and able to, Ted, play dual role in that
Oh, sure.
situation?
Yeah,
And wear two hats?
I think so.
And it's always tricky when you go somewhere as whoever you are and people ask a question and, trying to either making sure you don't answer as the board as a whole versus, who you are represented at the time, so.
Right. No, I'm very careful about that.
Okay, so for the Clement Heights Business Council would be Ted. And currently, just so everybody is aware, from till the June 30th, for liaisons to the schools currently, Molly is for Columbia Heights. I suppose this is one where if we've got,
Chair Larkin, do you
Yeah.
want to do the first resolution for the first set?
yeah, they are separate, aren't they? I'm sorry,
They are.
thank you.
And then you can do the second set.
Okay, so, a motion, a second, then I'll read the appointments again.
So move.
Ted,
Second.
motion by Ted, a second by Molly to approve the board appointments as stated. MSBA Legislative Liaison would be Ted Landwehr. XU would be Molly Lewis. State High School League, Molly Lewis. Ties, Ted Landwehr. We met Ted Landwehr. Northeast Metro 916 would be Laura Palmer. Liaison to the City of Columbia Heights, Molly Lewis. Liaison to the City of Fridley, John Larkin. Liaison to the City of Hilltop would be Laura Palmer. School Board Policy Subcommittee would be Laura Palmer, Molly Lewis, and then one spot left open for a new appointee. Association of Metropolitan School Districts would be John Larkin, and the Columbia Heights Business Council, Ted Landwehr. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Now, liaisons to the school. Thank you, Superintendent Kelly. There's the next page. So right now, in looking at this, Molly, you're a liaison to 3 different places.
Sorry.
No, that's all right, you're busy.
Can I
It's
ask,
cool.
I've never done the family center.
Yeah, I guess this maybe leads to where, the point that Ted made, that, leaving spots open. So, I mean, if we maybe look at, if you're interested in the family center and Molly's okay with that, then,
Absolutely.
have a school assigned to each of us and then leave the other 2 open. Is
I
that
wouldn't
okay?
mind staying at the high school, which was my original one, and I picked up Lori's and Grant's when they left. So
Right.
staying at the high school,
You want to stay at the high school? I don't have an issue with that.
and then
Okay.
leaving the other 2 for, or,
Next year I'll ask for the
Family
high
center.
school. I've never done that one.
And you want the
Family
family?
center.
And these would be effective July 1st. Correct?
Actually, they are. I mean, because we've got, and what we can look at doing through the June 30th even, and I don't know, maybe, can we do this, where if we leave through the June 30th as is, and when the new people are elected, 1, 2 of your 3 spots, we give those to them? Can we do that? You know what I'm saying? Where if Molly wants to stay with she's interested in the high school, but whoever is elected gets 1
Gets to pick
of the 2 that are left.
of the 2 that are left.
The 2 that are
So you
left.
could leave them to be determined for a couple of weeks or a couple months.
For now, the ones through, I'm talking about through the June 30th. Or could we even leave just Molly there as the temporary liaison and then reassign it at that point, or should we leave it to be determined?
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a reason we have it based on the school year instead of terms?
Yes, because principals like to have you get settled in their building.
Okay.
And see things from the beginning to
Okay.
the end. So that was kind of, but we have an unusual circumstance, so I just think it would be reasonable for you to pick the things from July 1st through June 30th, and then leave the other two open, and just, as they come on board, ask them to pick one up, and we could approve them as an action item as they come on board.
And looking at this too, what Don had put together, it's got Columbia Academy, it's got Molly Lewis until January 31st. So that would be one of them, that would be
Be open.
go to the new person. And I guess if you're, my question to you, Molly, as far as your interest in this, in the high school, if you're really interested in that, do you want it for a full year and have that be effective July 1st moving forward? Or,
Sure.
okay,
You're looking for, unless someone else has an interest in doing that. I mean, conversation.
Next year I have an interest.
or the,
Do you want to do
For the
that
high-
then?
No, I
starting-
want the family center this year.
so.
So to clarify, you're saying this year as in July 1st?
Yeah, we're doing the, right now,
That's, I
everything
think,
is
where we're-
assigned through June 30th, that top
That
row.
is correct, and family center is the one I want
The
as of
to be,
July. Oh,
the to be determined is for July 1st through June 30th.
That's where we're.
yeah.
The only thing
But we
that
can
we're,
switch that up too, so that I'm not taking 3 for now, too. I mean, if
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't need 3, do you?
you want to do
no, but
family
we're going
center.
to give, what we're going to, when the new people start, 2 of her 3 are going to be given to them.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So in
So
essence,
family
if-
center for July 1st?
Yeah, family center for July 1st, that's what I was,
Okay.
I thought we were voting on, so.
Do you have a preference?
Not really, I've been at each school, so, yeah, they're all great. They're all great schools.
so then my question goes back to you on the high school thing that you expressed an interest, the July 1st one, then you've got a year for that. Is that what you were
Sure.
thinking, or? Yes, no?
That's
Okay,
perfect,
all right. So
yes.
Molly's going to be for July 1st for the high school. Laura would be July 1st for the family center. I would be interested in North Park.
And I've been at Valley View this year, so maybe I should take Highland. Does that make sense?
Then that would be Valley View and Columbia Academy would
Oh.
be the new people once they are on the board. Yes?
Good. Could I change that to Columbia Academy? That makes, yeah, I haven't been there for a while.
So then Highland and Valley View would be the to be determined. And I guess thoughts on the current school year through June 30th? I mean, do we want to try and figure something out when the new people start? Just appoint someone then, just leave it as is, the way it's written, and then,
See if they have any appetite to take over some of your,
Yeah, and just to clarify, the only reason I did that is as each one left and we absorbed their roles, it just
Yep.
happened to be the school
Yep.
positions that I absorbed.
all right, so then we would leave the July 1st, 2015, June 30th, 2016 as it stands here, with the understanding that we'll look at working the new people into 2 of those schools, and then for the liaisons for the July 1st through June 30th, 16 to 17, the high school would be Molly, Highland and Valley View to be determined, Columbia Academy would be Ted, North Park would be myself, and the family center would be Laura. Need a motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Second?
Ted? Discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. You got all that? Don?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Next up is the salaries and per diem for board members and board officers. Salaries per diem for board members and board officers will be reviewed. Amounts for 2016 will be set by the board. You guys have those in your packets. I guess I'll ask for a motion and a second, then we'll have a discussion.
So moved.
Ted?
Second.
I do see that our salary is, the average is 5,100 for the districts that we were surveyed, roughly 13 districts, and we're at 6,000 for board members and 7,200 for chairperson. I'm wondering if we want to adjust it to be more like the average, or if we're happy the way it is. I'd favor to move it to more like the average of the districts. I don't think the number of meetings per year are typically, are pretty much the same, except for 916, but that's a intermediate, special district. I'm just throwing it out there that we are higher than the average, significantly.
We have 31 meetings a year. That's, the only one that has more meetings is Stillwater.
Well, the others are as needed.
Mhm.
So we don't know how many meetings the other districts have.
I think it's worth noting that since 2008, it's been the same. I'm comfortable with where we're at. We haven't made any adjustments. We certainly haven't increased anything over the past 7 years. So I'm okay with where it is.
I'm okay with where it is too. I think it's reasonable. It's fair.
Has anybody received any comments regarding the school district or school board salaries?
No.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
from anybody.
All right, doesn't seem to be an issue then. Have you, Superintendent Kelly?
I have heard nothing.
Okay, thank you.
I'll read the motion unless there's other discussion. I don't want to cut it short. I'm sorry. Motion is by Ted, second by Molly, to set the 2016 salaries for all board members at $500 per month, to establish additional compensation for board members as follows. Chairs, 600, or it's additional $100 per month, and furthermore, that all members of the board may receive per diem payments over the salaries established by the Board of Education for meetings of NSBA, MSBA, mediation sessions, and such other meetings as may be approved by the board, and which take the member away from his or her regular obligations of the regular workday, or which are held on a Saturday or Sunday. Said compensation for the per diem payments are to be same, which would be $50 per day up to 4 hours, and $100 per day in excess of 4 hours. Any other discussion?
I do have one other, are the per diems similar to what other districts pay? Do we know?
I don't think we have that salary schedule for you. We have compliments to 916 for doing the chart for the 916 districts, but
Okay,
I would not have that information available.
okay. Well, it has not, I don't think, it hasn't been a problem with per diems. I think we've stayed within our board budget, so I'm just raising the question to see how we compare. But I'm fine with the per diems.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next up is the designation of depositories. Recommended depositories are included in the suggested resolution, and Director Holmgren will be presenting.
John Larkin, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. Yes, the detached resolution is, these are the depositories that we use right now. Northeast Bank is really the bank we do 90% of our banking with. The other banks you see on there are mainly pass-through entities for bond payments and so forth that we use probably once a year. We don't keep a balance in any of these banks. When you look at the brokers, PMA, we haven't used a lot in the past, but we've left that account open. Morgan Stanley, though, we do use. Mainly the county money, when we receive money from Anoka County, goes directly to Morgan Stanley, and they invest that for us until we need it. So anyway, these are the banks we're using now. I don't foresee needing any more in this next year.
Motion to move that
So
forward.
moved.
Kelly?
Second.
Laura? Read the resolution. Resolution designating depositories. Be it resolved that the following be designated as depositories for certain monies of this school district, and such are authorized and directed to honor and/or pay checks or orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said banks in whatever form: LaSalle National Bank, U.S. Bank, Northeast Bank, Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Funds, plus Wells Fargo. Be it further resolved that the following investment brokers are hereby authorized and directed to honor orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawals or transfer of funds on the deposits in said instructions in whatever form: Morgan Stanley, PMA Financial Network. Be it further resolved that in case such deposits in the designated bank shall at any time exceed $250,000, said depository shall immediately furnish bond or securities in lieu of bond according to law and the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota, or any of the aforementioned depositories are hereby designated as a place for safekeeping for all securities furnished in lieu of such bond. Discussion.
Is that a normal policy that security be placed when it exceeds 250,000?
Yeah, that's what happens when we have more than $250,000 at a specific institution. They have to set aside securities in our name. So if something would happen to that bank over top of the insurance that the federal government does, the $250,000, then we immediately have access to those funds.
Okay. So that's the reason for the 250,000.
Yeah, because we're insured by the federal government for 250. So anything above that 250, then we have securities in our name.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Almost went to Laura. Ted, would you read the roll, please?
Palmer,
Aye.
Larkin,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Landwehr, aye.
Motion carries. Next is the designation of electronic transfer designees. Again, Bill.
Yep, let me ask the board that you appoint two designees to process electronic transfers. Most of the time, it's going to be Fan Tu, our accounting manager, but if for some reason she is not there, then I'll be the backup to move those funds.
Any motion to move that forward, please?
So moved.
Molly?
Second?
Ted? Discussion.
Is that the current policy?
Yeah, that's what we do right now. The manager of accounting services sets up the transfer, and then I sign off as a second signer.
Okay. Thank you.
The motion by Molly, second by Ted, is to appoint Bill Holmgren, a manager of accounting services, Fan Tu, as its designees in processing electronic transfers. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next is the designation of legal counsel and contacts. Still there?
Yeah, so we'd like ask the board tonight to continue with the designees of legal counsel as we've used in the past. Karen Keppel with Northeast Metro, she is our expert when it comes to employment law. Laura Tubbs Booth is who we use in some cases of special education. And then Joseph Langle of Ratwick, Rozak Maloney is our contract lawyer specializing in school districts.
Motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Molly?
Second.
Laura? Discussion?
I have concerns with Karen Keppel based on advice we received this year. It's been very disturbing to me, the advice we received in certain situations. So I would move that we remove Karen Keppel from the motion as legal counsel. I don't think it would serve the district better to not have her as legal counsel.
Any other discussion?
I think there has to be a second.
Oh, sorry.
Part of,
Well, There was a motion and a second, and that's what opened up the discussion.
But he's
I
making
moved
a
an
motion,
amendment.
so he'd
Oh, you
need,
moved to amendment, I'm sorry.
So he'd need-
I didn't hear you say that.
he'd need a second. Is that correct?
Your second? Use my cheat sheet. One last time, is there a second to the amendment? Hearing none, we move, go ahead.
Dies for lack of a second.
Dice for lack of a second, so we move forward with the original motion. Okay. So, motion on the floor by Molly, second by Laura, is to appoint Karen Keppel, Laura Tubbs Booth, and Joseph Langle as its legal counsel. Designees, the contact shall be school board chair and superintendent and/or her designee. Any further discussion on that motion?
And just to clarify, I have no problem with Laura Tubbs Booth and Joseph Langle serving as legal counsel.
Any additional discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Point of order, was this a resolution?
No,
Okay.
it's a motion. Designation of the election clerk. You get to do this one.
Mr. Chair, members, Dawn Hoyam has served as our election clerk since 2007. I think she's done an admirable job and would recommend to you that we allow her to continue on as the election clerk.
Motion to move that forward?
So moved.
Molly.
Second.
Ted, discussion.
Does Dawn wish to continue?
Does she get a choice?
No. She's fully trained and ready to go.
Yeah,
See her
well,
smile
I
over
know
there.
that. You've had lots of practice, so that's why I was just asking. Are you sure you want us to continue doing this?
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next is the designation of the official newspaper.
Chair Larkin, members of the school board, Superintendent Kelly. Each year, we need to designate a newspaper as our official newspaper for our legal notices. The Sun Focus is the only paper who has forwarded a quote to us. We've attached the quote to your board packet. There is a small increase. We look at the first insertion piece is going up a few cents. It amounts to about 1.8%. So that's the change. So we just ask that you would designate the paper. They've done a great job for us in the past, and they are the heaviest circulated paper in our school district.
Motion to move that forward, please.
So moved.
Ted?
Second.
Laura, discussion.
Are there any other papers that circulate to all the households? Okay.
No, there is not. We had looked into that the last couple of years, and the Sun Focus is the only paper that covers most of our families. They don't cover 100%, but no one else is even close.
Is this the same rate that other government entities receive from the paper? I mean, are you?
Well, I guess I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. We received the quote from them. I did not ask what they gave other.
Is it different than the previous rates? Do you
Small increase of 1.8% from last year.
know? Okay.
And there was no increase last year, if I recall.
I don't,
or the
last year was
before.
flat, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing they're competitive, because we have no competition.
It's correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Casey. That's that. This meeting, I'm not missing anything, am I? Nope. Meeting's adjourned at 8:19.